Our broadcast is live. All right, people. So my amazing guest today is Robin Alex. Is it co-founder or co-owner of High Level,
Yeah,
Robin?
co-founder. I think the interesting thing there is, we do have options, stock opportunity, and we've actually given that to our whole team. So everybody in our company is actually an owner.
Nice, nice. That's amazing, man. I'd love to talk to you about that. But Robin and I have met at a few events over the last year or so, and we've got to hang out together, take some car rides back to the hotels, and just talk not just about high level and about the agency world in general, but just get to know each other. And Robin's a cool guy, a family man, and co-founder at High Level. High Level, as you guys may know, if you don't know, then I don't know if you're a agency owner and what kind of world you're living in, is the go-to all-in-one marketing tool for digital marketing agencies. We've been using it at RepStack for over 2 years. All our marketing is done there. We're actually planning on migrating all our client success teams inside High Level as well, Robin. So High Level is big for us, and like we go through about 100 discovery calls every single month. All our sales processes, all our marketing funnels, everything is built inside High Level. So all needless to say, we're overly impressed. And since we are a virtual assistant company, um, all our VAs get hands-on training on High Level. They're supposed to do, go through some pretty impressive and intensive trainings, and submit full-on exercises towards the end of their training and things like that. So High Levels, we eat, live, breathe High Level these days. And welcome to our podcast. I really appreciate your time, Robin. How are you doing today, man?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. I can't complain, and just getting ready for the holidays this weekend with the family. But other than that, doing great.
That's
And I love hearing the intro, and it's still a shock every single day when I hear success and teams like yourself moving 100% over. It's amazing.
That's awesome, man. So how long ago did you guys start High Level, and like where did the idea came from?
Yeah, I want to say about 4.5 years ago, Sean and Varun, the other two co-founders, were actually, trying to spin up, different applications, trying to get into different SaaS opportunities, and they were really trying to focus on going directly to the business. And at that time, they were working on a reputation management application. But the problem that they had was they can get customers on a trial, but the business owner, while reputation seems great, the business
Hmm.
owner is just looking for how to make more money. And so the value of that also requires a little bit of complexity. Business owners don't know how to log in. They don't know where their passwords are, what is Google My Business, or what is, Facebook. Like, I'm on Facebook, but I don't know where my business page
Hmm.
is or how to give access or whatever.
Hmm.
So they ran into an issue. And, you know, prior to High Level, I was actually running an agency, had about team of about 25, 30 people. And, we were working with customers all around the world. I think at that time we had about a little over 200 customers. And the biggest challenge
Uh,
that we had on our side was you can't keep customers for a long time. It doesn't matter how much great work that, as an agency, you're producing for that customer. The biggest challenge is it's a very binary decision. If you're not making me attributable money in,
hmm.
without me doing any additional work, you're an expense,
Hmm.
you're not an investment. And so
Hmm.
we would, we're the marketing agency. We could drive leads, we could drive opportunities, but if the business owner is not picking up the phone or doing any actionable work to help close those, it's a
Hmm.
wasted effort on everybody's front. And so what kind of happened at that time was Sean and Varun were trying to prospect to direct businesses, and it's a hard game when just somebody straight off the internet in many ways is reaching out. Well, they luckily ran into one customer who was actually a co-customer of ours, and that customer was like, "I have these two crazy guys. They keep bothering me wanting access to all these things. I have no idea what they're asking. You're our marketing team. Can you connect with them? And so
Mm.
I got on the phone with Sean and Varun, walked them through all the access that they need, and I was like, "Well, hey, while I got you here, you got to tell me what you guys are doing. Like, obviously, there's something that you're doing." And then I was like, "Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Man.
Well, let me, let's try it out and see where it goes." And I was like, "Well, it's a cool product, but it needs a couple of other pieces." And then, what was crazy is about 6 months earlier, my team and I were like, "Look, if there was like a perfect world, what is our flow that we would want?" And
Mm.
we whiteboarded, kind of a cool concept of what high level is in many ways today. And we just left it on the board. And I remember looking at it and it's like, well, I know software. I've, been a developer in, historically, like I've done a little bit of that in the past. And I just know it's a different game. And we were just so busy with our customers, right? I'm trying to fight churn every day with customers. And
Mm.
so it kind of left on the whiteboard, but we shelved it as an idea to pursue at that time. And I remember getting on with Sean and Varun, and they were walking through the product, and I asked them like, "Hey, do you think you could make some other changes? Because I think I could get it to my other customers." And it was a weird response. Both Sean and Varun came back and said, "Give us a couple days, and we'll make it happen." And I was like, "Oh, that's what does that even mean, right?" And when you talk to someone who has a software, you just kind of assume that this big corporation, right? Like, and then
Mm.
I'm somebody on the internet who's asking for features, and somebody says they can deliver for it in a couple of days, right? Like, I just kind of took it as like, whatever, they're just brushing me off. Say, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get back to you, and never call me back.
Yeah.
And I remember getting in the driving home or driving back to the office after a meeting, and I get a call from Sean, and Sean's like, "Hey, are you by your computer? We got the changes made." I was like, wait, who is this again? Like, what are you talking about?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So we were rushing back to the office, getting on the computer, jumped on Zoom, and they showed me those changes. I was like, "Perfect. Well, let's load it up to all of our customers, and if it works, then we'll go ahead and buy it for our agency."
Mm.
And this is kind of the first version of what high level is today, and we had great success. And then I remember talking to Sean Verne. I was like, "Hey, here's kind of the whole map that we built. What do you guys think about it?" And they're like, "Actually, we have bits and pieces of this. We could actually package it up together." And I was like, "Well,
Mm.
cool. Let's do that." And they did that. We rolled it out to even more customers within our agency. And then I basically said, "Hey guys, I know other agencies that's dealing with the same issue. Can I, kind of do the introduction and help get it out to them?" And they kind of shrugged their heads and like, "Oh, this is kind of weird, but well, what's the worst that could happen? Worst case, they'll just
Mm.
blow up." And I reached out to 20 agencies, that I kind of reached out, that I knew, and a lot of them, about 13 of them came back and said, "No, we're in, Robbie. We trust you. You're doing some big things, so we want to kind of lean into what you're doing." And others kind of brushed me off. Just like anything else, when someone's asking you to buy
Mm.
something, people kind of brush you off regardless. And 13 of them purchased, and they all found immediate success. One of them happened to be Rob Bailey, who's big, as a business coach. And he was actually starting up one of his first events. And he actually called me and said, "Hey, I want you and Sean and the rest of the high level team to fly out. And I think your product is great. It's solving a huge need in the industry. And I'd love for you guys to just show it off to other people at the event." And so, Sean and me got on a plane, and literally on the plane, I'm creating landing pages so that we could take orders because none of that existed at the time. And Varun was in Qatar, so he couldn't make it, but we needed to make sure he was on Zoom. And we get there. It's actually the first time that Sean and I met in person. But we've been on
Mm.
Zoom calls like literally for the past 6 months prior to that, just trying to figure out how to roll it out to other clients and stuff. And we get there, we present, there's 40 people in the room, and it was so crazy because 39 people in the room purchased right out the gate. And what people don't realize, well, I said 39, I think the 40th person ended up purchasing because of FOMO, like the next day or something. uh, but what was wild is people don't realize, like, well, we were presenting, we were literally like modifying the landing page there.
Mm.
Like, "Oh, do you guys offer annual packages, or do you guys offer the mobile app?" And so I'm like, "Oh, should we do now?" And then Varun, who's in Qatar, was on Zoom, and people don't realize it. Like those orders were coming in, and it's coming to a spreadsheet, and he was manually creating those accounts at the time and pushing out emails.
Nice.
And I remember coming back, and it was like, all right, so we got 40, people that signed up. Now we got to onboard them, and so that's kind of the first version of where Sean and I started onboarding agencies, new customers one on one. And then from there, we've just been word of mouth, pushing, what we do and helping people find success. And that, you know, creates this huge snowball effect. And then, 4.5 years later, we just have about 16, 17,000 customers representing, 700,000 small
Wow.
businesses around the world. And so it's awesome to see how we started and where we're at today. It's been a fun journey.
That's amazing, man. What an incredible story. So it started out with a reputation management software, really, right?
Hmm.
And I think the incredible thing was that the other co-founders, Sean and Varun, were willing to kind of adapt to feedback that they were getting from people like you, the early adapters, and change things on the fly. And that's kind of unheard of, like you said, right? In the industry, like you just assume that it's a big software company. I gotta buy as is and things like that. I can't even think about talking to HubSpot and thinking about that stuff. But you had the audacity to say that, and it worked out, right? So was that around the same time that you kind of went in, and when did you like really decide to kind of shut down your agency, or is that agency still running and kind of move head on into high level?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I organically just I have I guess the servant mindset. Like anytime that someone needs help, I just kind of lean in and just jump in. I don't really ask for money or anything. It's just, look, there's a problem. It's the philosophy of, if you see a crumpled up paper next to a trash can, you kind of look around and no one's
Mm.
going to do it. I just naturally pick it up and throw it away in the trash, right? It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so, at that time it was just, well, we got the agency, it's doing okay, it's growing, and then, let me just consistently help somebody. And, I've always believed that if you do good things in the world, it'll come back tenfold to you. And at that time, we were running both organizations, and slowly we ended up migrating both teams together. And that was actually one of the ways that we were able to, in many ways, scale up very quickly, because
Mm.
we had, strong staff on the agency side, and they slowly, migrated over, taking on other responsibilities. And, it was always, it was a lot of firefighting along the way. We have individuals, who are running ads at the time, and, running ads on the high level side. And then we offered white label services back then.
Mm.
Someone like, Paulson, you may see him in our community. Like, he was actually one of our account managers, and then he kind of transitioned over to the high level side and kind of is leading a lot of the education front there. So we were able
Nice.
to staff up very quickly. And the biggest thing, as crazy as our industry that we're in, it's very nuanced, and it's actually a small industry if you actually think about it. It's not like,
Mm.
just general consulting or whatever. It's like, sure, we all do digital marketing or in that space somehow, some way, but when you get into, kind of this smaller ecosystem of, you know, the Facebook ads agency or the Google ads agency, like,
Mm.
it's a very small circle of people who kind of know each other, and the influencers and stuff there. So people who
Mm.
understand that nuance, um, you know, that's a hard thing to capture. And so luckily with our agency, everyone kind of knew that space, so they were able to jump in and help on the high level side very quickly.
I think like having, especially like, you coming in with the agency experience, so a tool really like built for agency owners, from an agency owner, I think that makes it a big difference. And part of the reason that, we've been able to scale is because, I've run my agency for the last 14 years, and having that experience and working strictly with that select group of people, you put it really lightly, the 17,000 agency owners that you guys have, Robin, on your platform. That's amazing. But still, having said that, it does make a big difference, and that's why I think like things when they grow organically, that that's how they grow. Like when you're really focused on a problem for a particular niche, and you come from that particular niche. So I think. I think that's and the first time I saw high level, I was like completely sold. And again, similar to the example that you were just telling me, that you guys were in a room where there were 40 other uh, people who could have used your software, and everybody went with it. We heard it at the Seven Figure Agency from Josh Nelson, and he was recommending this tool, and everybody's talking about high level. I'm like, and I was an agency owner. I'm like, why haven't I heard of this? And I was using HubSpot before this, and I look at the tool, and the next day I sign up, and the rest is history. So it does work like that. And I think focusing on that particular niche aspect, especially if you come from that niche, gives you instant credibility. So like, where are you guys at right now? You mentioned that around 17,000 agencies, and SaaS companies and coaches, all of these people are using your platform right now. In terms of your team, how big is the team, and where is the team all based out of Dallas, or is it spread out all over the world?
Yeah, we're in about 16 different countries. I don't know the exact number, but we're aggressively hiring. I want to say we're roughly around 280, 285 today, and we're trying to hire call it another 100 people in the next, 3 to 6 months, if not more than that. So we're aggressively trying to backfill and hire, and I think it's an interesting dynamic in the whole, tech space right now. You hear a lot of these layoffs and, and they're
Mm,
at significant amounts. And we've been in this model for quite some time, and it's a part of our company culture of doing more with less, and being
mm,
very, you know, trying to be as efficient as possible and, trying to not get caught up in the wrong areas or building up a lot of, quote unquote fat or, being bloated with teams and stuff. And, it gets challenging and it does get stressful at times. But our team, that's been with us and coming on, they've all leaned into it. And while it's stressful, they've, trotted through it and, continuing to build more team members to kind of lean into that. So as we're growing, well, getting from 200 to 300, I mean, those are crazy numbers to myself, but I think
yeah.
for us, it's, our goal is not to, potentially turn into like a 20,000 person company. It's can we do
Mm.
and continue to be efficient with our model there. So, but it's definitely been a fun ride, and we're still hiring like crazy.
That's incredible, man. And correct me if I'm wrong here. Like, all these team members, are they working from a centralized office location, or is it a mix of people work from home, work from offices, or how is the spread looking?
Yeah. So
The reason
everybody,
I'm interested is because we're a completely virtual organization. Everyone's 100% work from home, so I'm kind of interested in finding out that how you guys are doing it.
yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic. We started out, when High Level kind of started, we wanted to kind of build it as being a remote first company. And it was actually, revolutionary or unheard of in software
Hmm.
back in 2018, 2019, right? Because you have
Hmm.
Salesforce at that time who built this huge office in San Francisco. And
Hmm.
everybody is like renovating and creating these cool office concepts and stuff. Now, on the agency side, I always had an office because I thought that was the big thing to do, right? Like you got to get the cool
Hmm.
office and things like that. And so kind of transitioning over, I think you and I were talking about like we come from that world of, you got to wake up, take a shower and drive to the office or like have some sort of, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Routine.
yeah, process in the morning routine. And, you got to go to the office. And so we've always had an office, but it's not something that we require people to come in. And to be honest, very few people come in short of, if we do a company event or something, it's nice to have a home base. And I think as we're
Hmm.
getting bigger, like that perceptual notion of they do have a physical office, but it is remote first. And
Hmm.
so everybody in our company, 99% of our company works from home or anywhere in the world, to be quite honest. You could be,
Hmm.
in one place today and another place the next day. And we just
That's
ask that,
incredible.
yeah, as long as you have, good internet, you have your laptop, webcam, quiet area to work,
Hmm.
it shouldn't matter,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's really hard for people to understand, but I feel, and we're just over 200 people now, Robin, and
Incredible. Good
I
job.
feel that it actually empowers people to like when people like you guys trust the employees and trust everybody who's on your team, that hey, go work from anywhere, be a digital nomad if you have to be, as long as these prerequisites are met. You should be able to, and we find that this we and you tap into such incredible talent. Like, for example, majority of our talent is from Pakistan, and because we decided early on that we're going to be 100% work from home, there were some unexpected rewards. Like, for example, we hail from Pakistan, and it is, and I know you guys have a few employees there as well. And that one of the things is that it is a conservative society, and but we were able to tap into the female talent there. 60% of
Mhm.
our workforce is female right now. So there's definitely, when you kind of leverage these type of things and kind of trust your teams with letting them make that decision where where you want to operate out of and things like that. There's a lot of rewards that can be had, and it looks like I feel that you guys have an amazing culture, and and I think big part of it is this trust that you're giving to your team members. Is that like, and how important is culture? Maybe while we're at this on this topic, Robin, now why don't you talk to us about a little bit about culture, and especially in this, you guys are in 16 countries right now, which is incredible. How do you kind of like build this incredible culture over so many time zones in 16 different countries and nationalities?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the model that people build businesses is super important, and it does come back to culture. I mean, culture for us is everything. I think, you know, you're talking about, like, you guys have found rewards by going, remote first, and I think that conscious decision is really the baseline in the kind of individual that you want to join the company, because when you
Mm,
interview somebody who says that, your workforce is in Pakistan, and somebody may come in and interview for a role at your organization, and you tell them that it's remote first, that it actually might filter them away, because they, in their mind, their preferred work ethic is, I need to wake up, go to the office, I need to have my equipment there. Like, that's what's important to them.
mm,
And so
mm,
for us, with us growing, it's because we're remote first, we're looking for individuals who prefer that model, right? And in many
mm,
ways, they have the equipment at home. They're tech savvy because they, want to work from home, and also it leans into a different style of, workday. I think,
mm.
small things like, you can see me, I'm wearing our high level, swag and things like that. I think that
Yeah,
that also plays to kind of the company that we are. We're not the one, the style of wearing a suit and tie on camera, or,
yeah.
that professional, the traditional work style, right? Like, so culture, when you have the soft skills, it also blends into, the way that we interact with our customers. We
Mm,
don't we get on video with our customers. That's, rule number one in our company. Cameras on, be on Zoom, and, talk to every customer, and,
mm,
be empathetic, be a part of what they're doing, because if we can help them get success, we're going to win. Many
mm,
other organizations, there's nothing wrong with how they run it, but, you know, the style and operation is very, in my opinion, very bland, right? You submit a ticket, there's no you know, humanistic or empathetic response. It's very A, B, or C, take it or leave it, wait 24 hours. Like, that's the system, that's the process. And, our culture is, let's flip the script on that. Why can't we do it to where, we're all humans, we're all trying to win together. So can we all win
yeah.
at the same time?
That's incredible, man. Well, what a great answer. And, having an all-inclusive culture, and kind of, starting out by, like you mentioned, remote first. So that weeds out a lot of people who are not going to be a part of your culture right from the get-go. And then the people who do come in are already going to be, actively seeking that type of lifestyle and ready to commit. And I love the fact that you said that. cameras on, ready to go. So, especially if you're going to be, remote first and work from home, I think that has to be a big part of it, right? Because how else are you going to be able to communicate in that three-dimensional where, when we're doing that face to face? So, some incredible insights on culture, Robin. Great stuff. So one thing I really wanted to ask you, I had this mental note that we talked about you going from, you guys kind of going from in your initial phases from 100 0 to 100 clients, and somewhat there. Um, how does a company change when you go from 100 to 1,000 clients? And so I'm sure that was a big change for you guys when you went to 1,000 SaaS clients, and then we're going to talk about from 1,000 to 10,000. That would have been a completely, like just game changer after game changer. So kind of talk to me about how how your life changed and how the company itself changed, and in such a short period of time. Like, what happens when you get that first breakthrough of 1,000 customers, and then you get that next breakthrough of 10,000 customers?
Yeah, I mean, we probably don't have the best answer for that. Like I think people feel like there's like this true strategy, like a textbook answer that you can follow. And I've personally never seen anyone execute against a true playbook in a profitable manner. And, for us, we're running it just like any other human should run a business, right? Like you shouldn't be spending money if you don't have money. And,
Hmm.
we bootstrapped it, to a certain point, and that's the way that we wanted to run it. And so in many ways, it's, kind of pulling up your pants and just jumping in and getting into the fire. And really, when you get, you got to take that punch to the face to be like, oh, yep, we definitely need to backfill and
Mm,
hire. Like it's just getting, overwhelming and stuff. And then what we also figured out is it's not for us, it was never really changing our systems or processes or anything like that. If it's working, just keep doing it and just get better at doing it. Don't fundamentally try to
mm,
change it, going from 0 to 1,000, 1,000 to 5,000. Still the same business, still the same process. Now you may need additional resources because
mm,
doing the same thing for more people, but don't feel
mm,
like the system fundamentally has to change. So that's one of the things that we've leaned on, and that's also one of the advantages of being in the SaaS space. It's, you don't have to create new systems or anything. It's just once people come in and the system's working, it's just making sure that they're continuously finding success and just keep doing that same motion over and over and over again.
yeah, and I think I can kind of relate to that because, in my agency days, it was just me, myself, and I by myself and working with contractors. And then pretty much overnight, like over the last 2 years, responsible for over 200 people. And it feels like that, it's been an incredible journey, but not much has changed. Personally, for myself, I still feel that I'm still the same old me, and it's a lot more responsibility. A lot more people are added to the internal teams and things like that as we need them. But for more or less, it's really the same, right? Like still the same human beings, and we're still got the same families to go back to and all of that good stuff. And I think which is incredible, right? Like it's really the journey. And if you're thinking that you're going to build this incredible company, which is a great thing, and some life shattering thing is going to be happening to you, it's probably not, right? Like those things are just happening in baby steps on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I think the other piece is when you're in the thick of things, you have to almost do a look back to see kind of the difference, right?
Yeah,
It's not like I can predict what the difference is going to be. I'm just in the motion,
yeah.
right? Like I don't know what my next step is or the next big thing. We're just in the motion doing it, and then you kind
Yeah,
of take a step back and you're like, oh man, I didn't realize that because
yeah.
it was funny. You talk about the 1,000 person count. I
Mm,
remember it was just by chance you know, we're doing onboardings every day and we're trying to get the environment working when we were starting up, and then it was just by chance we just looked in one of our reporting tools and we're like, oh, we just broke 1,000. Uh,
So you
And
didn't
then
have that big counter like Facebook had when they were
no,
supposed to hit, I don't know what, billion or something,
yeah,
right?
Billy, you're right. And then it's like, oh, cool. Well, good job, guys. And oh,
Nice.
gotta get back to work, right? Like that's honestly how it's always been. And you have those counters just for us, it's the counters are just more for just knowing where the business is at today, but not as we're trying to hit this like super
Yeah,
milestone and we have to fundamentally move teams around or shift things to get there. It's just the core of it. You're just doing more of the same thing and just keep running those
yeah.
cycles up.
I think it's incredible, and just to sometimes stop and look back, like you said, right? I think that gives us the perspective of what we've achieved, because like there's always going to be the next thing and the next goal, and we're going to be busy with the day to day, and we could sometimes forget about what we've achieved over the last few years and things like that, the growth we've had, the people we've impacted, and things like that. So don't be afraid of looking back. So such a great insight there, Robin.
Yeah, and I would
Um,
also say on that note, like one of the things I do regret is not doing more of those, like just taking a pause and
mm,
reflecting and documenting the process. Because now
mm,
looking back, it's like, man, I wish we took a screenshot of that or took a picture
yeah.
or, like when we hit 20 employees, like I just wish I just took the Brady Bunch,
Mm,
screenshot or, like when we
yeah.
won an award, like why didn't we create like just own that moment? It was just more of like, gotta brush it off. Yeah,
Celebrate
celebrating
more.
it. Yeah. And, now looking back, it's been a great 4.5, we're coming up on our 5th year next year. It's like, man, I wish we had some of these pictures or some of these highlight reels, and we don't really
I agree,
have
man.
that because we've
I
just been
totally
in the
agree.
weeds.
Yeah, no, that's totally incredible, man. And one thing I read on the news I think about a year ago now, is I hope you don't mind me asking, is that you guys raised some cash, and
Yeah.
and I feel with high level, I feel because you guys are part of the agency culture here in North America, and you guys are from us, you guys build this thing out and things like that, and then I feel that you guys are true success story coming from the agency world. So when we see, like, us other agency owners, we see you guys do well, we're naturally inclined to find out what happened and how you guys got there. So what was the thinking behind raising capital, and which point should somebody be considering a step like you guys took?
Yeah, so it was definitely a interesting year for us. I mean, we weren't necessarily needing any money or anything like that, but what we saw, this was peak pandemic, and during that time, you just hear all these companies raising crazy amounts of money. I mean, ClickUp, raised $400 million and
Hmm.
all this, and we're like, what does that even mean? We're a profitable
Yeah.
company. We don't need the money, so what is going on? But I think what we also knew was like it got to the point where Chandra and I, once you get to a certain point, it's like you're walking uncharted territories. We've never
Mm,
ran an organization of significant revenue coming in, and we don't know what's coming around the corner. So let's just go through the process and see what happens. We can always say no, we're in control.
mm,
And, it gave us the opportunity to just kind of put feelers out there. What is our valuation? What are we worth? Like, are we doing, you want a little bit of, satisfaction in saying like, yeah, yeah, we did have something pretty cool. So what we did, we just kind of all met and basically said, look, let's just look at it as a piece of real estate, right? The business is like a house. Houses at that time was going for crazy amounts of money, but you don't really know what it is until someone truly gives you an offer, right? Like until someone's willing to
mm,
give you some money, that's when you need to get your real valuation. So we said, you know what? Let's just try to treat it like a house. We'll paint the walls, put a new roof on the house, we'll remodel it, and just put feelers out there. We're not in any rush. We don't need to move out of our house anytime soon. It's just if the right number hits, we'll see what happens. But we
mm,
don't need to. Like, there's no reason for anything. And it allowed us to really strengthen the core of our business from a financials perspective. It helped align some, we started thinking a little bit more of like being a traditional business and like KPIs and stats and like how to properly tune for that sort of thing. So through that process, it allowed us to kind of function that way. And then what we did was we went to market just to see what it looks like. And at that point, we just got a ton of offers. And the interesting thing was there's a lot of companies who wanted to, you know, throw crazy dollars at us. And we were like, "Oh, we don't need any of your money." And they were like, "Well, that's perfect because I think we're not a good fit. If we give you money,
Mhm.
you have to follow our playbook, right? You got to think these companies, they're basically backed by investors. And they're promising these
Hmm.
investors, like, give us X amount of dollars, and in 5 years, we're going to give you X amount more
Hmm.
money into it. And the reason that you want to work with us or invest through us is because we have this playbook. We know how to take companies, transform them, and they'll do this on the back end. And
Hmm.
the problem that they struggled with was looking at our company like, you guys are doing incredible things and impacting a great economy in the agency space, and you guys are doing it in a very unorthodox way. If you
Hmm.
take our dollars, guess what? You have to do it our way, and that fundamentally is different than how you grow the business. So it's not a good fit. And we're like, yeah, that's what we thought too, And then towards the end, we actually found one um, investment group, Peak Equity, and they basically said, you know what, you guys are doing something unorthodox, something great, and we love it. We actually don't want you to change that model. What we want to do is basically
Hmm.
come in and kind of strengthen, kind of your weak areas, kind of back office, and we have contacts and relationships, and we know how to help when you're coming around the corner and growing there. These are the
Hmm.
challenges, and we'll support you on that front, but don't change fundamentally the business. And
Hmm.
once we find a company like that, and we love the valuation and love the opportunity working with them, because we don't know what the road holds, right? If we're trying to go IPO or we're trying to move, up to a different, arena from a revenue perspective or whatever, we could blindly do it, or you
Hmm.
can kind of work with a partner who's been there, done it. So that was kind of the decision, and luckily we were able to close that deal last year.
That's amazing, man. So I think two things that I got from this was that A, you know, don't go out there seeking capital, just because I guess like you guys didn't needed it, but for the right reasons. And then the partner that's going to come in is going to be incredibly important, right? Because you guys got to this point because of your knowledge of the agency world and the incredible product that you've built out. And fundamentally, a partner coming in and asking you to change all of those things that got you there is probably not what you want to do. So you want to kind of retain the soul of the organization, and how you do that is by not going crazy and seeking funding, but attracting the right type of partner come to you guys. So that was amazing. So I think like a lot of people would get inspired by just listening to this, Robin. Like and a lot of agency owners, we don't want probably to be in those shoes where we're going to be raising capital and things like that. But seeing one of our own go out there and make it happen, I think that's incredible. One last question I have for you is on the hiring side, Robin. Just quickly, when you guys are hiring for new team members and things like that, what are one or three things that you guys are like really looking for in every team member that's coming on board?
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it a little earlier, right? The culture fit, I think, is a huge piece to it. You have to be comfortable waking up every day and, not only just putting on the high level gear and being comfortable and that's how you can work, but being on Zoom and things like that. Like, I think that skill in itself is really important for us. And
Hmm.
so, you have to kind of see it to understand it. And I think also
Hmm.
being comfortable working in an environment where it's very collaborative, and not just collaborative within our internal team, but collaborative with our customers. And
Hmm.
that is a shock to people when they see that, right? Like, you see, us in the Facebook group and us,
Hmm.
anybody that has a question, like, you can. email me or Varun or Sean, and we'll respond back, and we'll get on a Zoom call with you, and we'll talk to you. And while I talk about us three, it's literally across our whole company, and that's the culture that we want to have. You know,
Hmm.
that that's what we're sussing out for, and that's what we're interviewing and asking those questions from a cultural fit. Can you live up to and meet those expectations? And then on the
Hmm.
other side, we're always looking for the best talent. And that is a challenge in many ways because either you're in the industry and you understand the lingo, the players, those names, right? You mentioned Josh Nelson or Alex Zelensky. Like, if you don't know those people and know kind of the culture of our ecosystem, that's a hard thing
Hmm.
to learn as well, unless if you're in it.
Hmm.
And so if you don't fall in that, but you're strong on the culture side, we'll bring you onto the team. But it takes, the ramp up time is fundamentally a little bit different versus somebody who knows the space. Maybe they've been an ex agency owner or work for an agency. They know the big players and they love the virtual collaborative or so. If we can
Hmm.
if we can interview and kind of filter out for those individuals, your ramp up time becomes extremely quickly, and you just feel, it's just a very organic feeling of being a part of the team.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's great. And I think a lot of us, because in the agency space, we're starting out with really small teams and culture and things like this. These are, somewhat in the distant, but I can tell you that, what you just said, that, just looking out for the right cultural fit. I was just talking to Josh Nelson before this. We had a podcast with him, and we were talking about that old mantra of the boiler room mantra, that hire slow and fire fast. That's kind of old school and kind of gives us an excuse or a shield to hide behind. We have a rough month, we're going to fire all these guys, and
Mhm.
I had a big vacation and I'm going to let a portion of my team in India go, and but that those people are human beings as well. But so what I've been recently talking about is that hire smart, which you guys are doing, and fire based on culture and values, right? So if you've done your job and you have systems and processes in place, you've looked for the right people that can come in, there's really only other reason that these people are not going to survive in your organization is if they're not the right cultural fit. And as you start growing your agencies and your businesses, culture becomes such an important part, because like, you cannot always be there. And I love the fact that Sean was on my podcast as well, and now I've had you, that you guys are so extremely accessible, and that's culture, right? And you guys doing that across the board inside your organization. I can promise you that talking to any one of your team members, they're going to be leading from the vantage point that you guys have created for them. So that's why culture is so important, because you're not going to be there on every single call, but the way you guys have put out this culture on being accessible to people like me, and being able to mingle at Alex Shlinsky's event or Josh Nelson's event, things like that. That's leading from the front. So what
Yeah.
a great example, what a great insight on hiring. Like keeping culture first, and obviously everything else, we got to take a look at that too. But I think culture first becomes really really important, especially when your size of your team start becoming 20 plus and things like that. So
Yeah, no,
great stuff.
I love that.
Robin, go ahead.
I'm gonna steal that. Hire smart and fire on culture, because even if you don't have the systems and processes, right? Someone who leans in on the culture is willing to learn it, in an unorthodox
Hmm.
manner, and so if you just kind of lean on those two things, hire smart and fire on culture, I think you'll be generally successful, right? Like you
I
wouldn't
think
have the
so.
wrong people who's not going to help
I think
figure it
so.
out and march forward.
Any last word of advice for agency owners who are listening to us, Robin, before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, as an agency owner, the one advice that I love giving people is, don't thrive in complexity. I think that's
Hmm.
actually, something that hurts you from scaling. Uh, you know, I think generally for businesses in our world, right, in our small niche, it's you're dealing with small businesses. and small businesses, the the attention and the need of complexity isn't really there. They just need a lot of the basics, and that generally gets
Mm,
success for many people. And so what I see with
mm.
a lot of agencies is they're trying to get super complex in-depth things, and what they're doing is incredible. But what they have a
Mhm,
hard time doing is how do you scale that to an audience that doesn't care about it, right? So
mhm, mhm.
so I would just advise many agencies, mostly dealing in the SMB spaces, it's don't thrive in that complexity,
Amazing.
because it's so challenging.
Love it. And I'm going to steal that from you. Don't thrive in complexity. That's
Yeah,
amazing, Robin. Robin, thanks a lot for taking the time from your busy schedule and coming on to our podcast, man. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing you during this coming year on multiple events that you and I are going to be a part of. And
yeah.
looking forward to catching up real soon, my man.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Robin. Have a wonderful